Hello, this is Kathy Cassidy and I'm here for Sunday Book Club, and I have a few shout outs and comments to begin with. First of all, from Lini, who says about the book of short stories Life is Sweet, because remember I'm reading the short story Snowflakes and Wishes at the moment on the YouTube channel for you. And Lini says, this book is so sweet, like its title, one of my favourites. So thank you, Lini, for that lovely comment. There were a lot of nice comments this week. This is just some of them. Lily Lost said, thank you so much for bringing happiness to my year, which was great. And Francesca said, that must be one of your most hardcore cliff edge chapter endings, just when I thought everything was going to be okay. And if you don't know what she's talking about the end of chapter 5 of Snowflakes and Wishes, where, yeah, it's kind of, I have a bit of a mean streak, just where you think everything will be okay in that chapter, suddenly it really isn't. So I was especially mean and made sure that cliffhanger came on a Friday, so I've made you wait all weekend, and you're going to have to wait till Monday to tune into chapter 6 and see exactly what happens next. Another reader, Gay Sherry, says, Kathy, you are a godsend. Your books are unputdownable, and as always, I have loved this story. And Nathini in Sri Lanka, who often leaves really uplifting kind of comments, says, I love the idea of a New Year's party in the story, even though it seems impossible in this pandemic. So thank you. And Nathini, the idea of reading the story of Snowflakes and Wishes, where it did have a New Year's party when we weren't really allowed to have one anymore, that was partly the reason I picked that story, because I wanted to relive happier times in a way. So yeah, well picked up on. And Sophie said, so lovely to be back at Tanglewood. Thank you so much. I can't wait for the rest of the story. And Sophie obviously is a fan of the Chocolate Box Girls series. And as you will have known from what I've been saying up until now, Life is Sweet is a book of short stories told by some of the minor characters from the Chocolate Box Girls series. And I know that a few of you are now who are kind of new to the books and new to my stories, are quite intrigued and want to read the Chocolate Box Girls series. And you're probably best starting off with Cherry Crush and working through all of them from there so that you don't miss anything. But I hope you will enjoy it. And I also just wanted quickly to say welcome to some of our new subscribers. Somehow or other, between Christmas or since Christmas and New Year, we seem to have gone up by about 30 new subscribers. So YouTube doesn't always let me see all of them, but I can say welcome to Mary Jane and Marjorie and Nancy and Emma and Dima's World and Ice Llama and Cozy Reading and all the others who aren't showing up. But you're all really, really welcome on board, and it's a very friendly YouTube channel. So thank you all for being there and sharing it with me and making it kind of worthwhile. It's small but perfectly formed, this YouTube channel, or imperfectly formed maybe. Very, very quickly, I wanted to show you a couple of books. Two of them are Christmas presents, and one of them has been sent to me by a publisher that sometimes happens, very exciting when that happens, for me to read and see what I think of the book. And this is by the author Karen David, who writes amazing, lovely and very well written books for young teenagers. And this book, I think, is different from some of her other stories because it's tackling, I believe, the problem of anti-Semitism and how that feels to be on the receiving end of that. So I'm kind of escalating this right to the top of my reading list at the moment. I can't wait to read it. It's apparently it's had a few adventures in the post and been all around the world before getting to me, and it may be a couple of weeks before I can read it because I'm in the middle of, I'm still trying to finish the book I'm writing, but that's going to be the first thing that I read once that book is finished. and a couple of other Christmas present books. Just wanted to show you these if you've never seen them. Tasha Tudor's Heirloom Crafts, and another book called The Private World of Tasha Tudor. This woman was an illustrator in the USA, and so inspiring, I think. She does beautiful little illustrations, but she also lived the kind of life that she illustrated. So very old school, very old fashioned, doing all the crafts and arts and traditional ways of doing things. And I absolutely love her style. I'll maybe talk about these in another Sunday book club, and give them a little bit more time, because again, as I've explained, I haven't had a chance to properly look at these. These books had to come from America, so what a special Christmas present they were, and have really cheered me up. So once the book I'm doing is finished, I really look forward to digging into them, and I will share more inspiration with you, hopefully, once that happens. So it's been a strange week, I think. It's been quite cold. I've been for my walk today and it was freezing cold and very slippery. We even saw a cyclist fall off his bike quite dramatically, and yeah, it was kind of puts you off a little bit. It's like, oh, but yeah, we've had a bit of snow, but it hasn't lasted. It hasn't settled for very long. And then in the greater world, we're fully locked down. We're not allowed to see anybody, not allowed to go out, not allowed to do anything. And world politics seem to have gone crazy in quite a frightening way. So I found myself getting quite upset and quite frightened and depressed, really, by all the stuff that was going on in the USA. And yeah, scary people, right-wing people storming the Capitol building, which genuinely frightened me. And I was looking around for ways to cheer myself up. You know, I know that, you know, in the big scheme of things, this will all get sorted, and the people who tried to stage a coup will get punished for that. I genuinely believe they will, and I hope that happens. But these things, especially when you're in the middle of a lockdown, can really get to you. And I was thinking, how can I, you know, what can I do to cheer myself up? And it came down to a really silly thing on the Facebook fan page. I have a Facebook reader page, and if some of you were not yet on that, please do join in, because it's it has odd bits and pieces about my books mainly, and about things aimed at readers in the UK and in all sorts of other countries too. And I found a picture online just randomly that reminded me a little bit of the kitchen in Tanglewood, which is the house in the Chocolate Box Girls series. And the characters, they have in that kitchen, there's beautiful Rayburn that they use to cook on, and it's all always very beautifully styled in my imagination. I found this picture, which I'm going to try and show you on my laptop. So that's the picture, and I posted this picture up on the Facebook fan page, and I asked if anybody, if it reminded anybody of one of the stories, or if anybody was inspired to tell me perhaps, you know, what might be going on in that particular kitchen. Tell me a little story about it. And lots of people did, and it was lovely. It was very heartwarming. It was just lovely. Some of them were saying, I'd love a kitchen like that, and I'll put the kettle on, and why don't you come round and have a drink, and so on. Lots of people were telling me little stories, or you know, nice kind of feel-good kind of comments like that. But there were two people who actually did post a story as such about that picture, and I thought that today I would read those stories out to you. And one of them is from Eliane, who often comments and posts on the YouTube channel, and she came up with it's not quite spooky, but it's quite atmospheric. Her story came in several parts, and I'll read it out to you. The three women were silent as they collected together what they needed. They worked quickly and with care, each knowing the part that they were playing. With a nod to each other occasionally and a giggle and a sigh, soon everything was ready. They looked from one to each other and announced in unison that all was complete. "Shall we begin?" said the oldest. As she twirled, the youngest smiled as she said, "The time is late." The one who was the mother pulled the box from under the table. "Oh," she said softly as she saw the trunk was chock-a-block with memories. It was a summer's eve and the sky was filled with colour like cherries as it poured into the kitchen. "We'll wait until everyone is here." The three women looked out of the window across the marsh and waited. Absent-mindedly, the young girl picked the flowers of the mallow plants that were sitting on the window ledge. She flicked them into the pot that her grandmother was stirring on the stove and looked over towards her grandmother. "Before you say anything, Granny Kate, we're using the agave, not honey. I should cocoa if you were to use anything else," was Granny's response. The mother was emptying the treasure box of years gone by onto the table as she heard a car pulling onto the drive. The coconut chickpea curry was ready and waiting for the hungry mouths that walked through the door, the birthday boy last to appear, and he grinned when he saw his sister. "You did it then?" he whispered in her ear. She nodded and motioned with her eyes to the whipped aquafaba that had made the marshmallows, sitting in the middle of the table. "And hot chocolate too." He was in awe of his little sister, who could veganize anything his heart desired. I thought, Eliane, that was such a clever and beautifully put together story. I don't know if you noticed, but it managed to include the names of the Chocolate Box Girls' sisters. And it left me wondering if the birthday boy, could be their half-brother Cookie or Jake Cook. And also it had mention of aquafaba, which is kind of chickpea water, which makes the most incredible, it makes like vegan meringues and marshmallows. And I just thought the whole idea of putting together a vegan feast was fab. And right up Coco's Street as well, the littlest of the Chocolate Box Girls sisters. So yeah, I loved that. And then the other story I wanted to share with you comes from Sarah, who actually happened to be the designer of my books back when the Chocolate Box Girls series was being released. So she is the person responsible for that lovely dramatic design and, you know, the little images at the top of the chapters in the Chocolate Box Girls books. And I loved to see her commenting on that picture, and I knew exactly that she would know what it had reminded me of. And this story so cheered me up. It absolutely made my day. So Sarah said, "This is the Tanberry kitchen. It's just after Christmas and some of the girls have been home studying as their colleges and universities moved to remote learning. Being cooped up in small halls of residence is not the university experience anyone signed up for, and the girls wanted to be together, so decided to come back home. There are a collection of animals who wander in and out of the kitchen, leaving the door open, and a draught. Humbug the sheep, being the oldest and naughtiest by far. The ancient Rayburn finally gave up the ghost on bonfire night, so it has become a place of beautiful festive installations ever since. The chocolate business is booming, and since lockdown 1, the family have pivoted to completely online, and things are busy but productive. Paddy and Charlotte have started fostering because now the older girls are more self-sufficient. They miss the chaos. It's a house filled with noise, singing, laughter and bellowing when someone has discovered a favourite item of clothing missing. And of course, lots of love. And that, I just think, is the sweetest, loveliest story. And it's a perfect example of how the YouTube channel and the Facebook fan page give back to me. You know, if I try and give something to my readers or do something nice for people, I get so much more back in return. And I think that is the way that things work in life. So Sarah, I think, is going to be my recipient this week for Amazing Human Being Awards. So I'll be sending a little badge to Sarah, And perhaps she'll take it and wear it for herself for being the awesome designer of all those books that I loved so much. Or perhaps she will pass it on to her daughter, who is now reading Kathy Cassidy books, and actually got a signed Kathy Cassidy book for Christmas. So maybe Lyra, you will be the person who gets to have that badge. Maybe you can kind of take turns wearing it. I don't know. But thank you to everybody who commented on that thread on Facebook, and thank you for cheering me up, because it really, really worked. And I love the idea of Paddy and Charlotte fostering. It gives me ideas for like a whole new set of stories, if only I had time to write them. But thank you all so much. And don't forget to tune in again on Monday to hear chapter 6 of Snowflakes and Wishes. And yeah, until then, stay safe, keep smiling, and don't let the madness in the big wide world outside get to you. Because yeah, we can help each other through, and I've had so much proof of that this week. Thank you and take care. See you soon.